The morning sun spilled over the city, gilding the streets in gold as if celebrating the day itself. Inside a tastefully decorated hall, laughter and music intertwined with the scent of fresh flowers. Samuel adjusted his tie for the 10th time, feeling a nervous excitement that made his chest thrum like a caged bird. Today, he was a husband. Today, he belonged fully to Amina. Amina, radiant in her ivory gown, caught his gaze across the room. Her smile was the kind that seemed to erase the world's troubles, and Samuel felt a wave of certainty wash over him. This was right. This was home. Yet as the officiant spoke words that promised forever, a shadow pricked at the edges of his mind. A memory, fleeting and sharp, slipped through the cracks of his happiness. Elena. Her laughter, her teasing, the way she had looked at him in a photograph he had long buried. Samuel shook his head as if to dislodge it, focusing on Amina's hand in his. The reception passed in a blur of music, champagne, and well-wishing. By the time the couple reached the privacy of their new home, the city lights glittered like distant stars. Samuel exhaled, thinking the day's excitement was behind him. Then came the whisper. It was soft at first, a sigh curling around the edges of his consciousness. Samuel. He froze, heart hammering, eyes darting around the empty room. Who's there? He asked, voice tight. Silence. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the faint rustle of curtains in the evening breeze. I warned you once, the voice came again, clearer this time. Smooth, haunting, impossibly familiar. Do not betray her, or all you love will suffer. Samuel's breath hitched, his pulse raced. He knew that voice, Elena, his past lover, gone from his life for years, but never truly gone from his heart, or so it seemed. Shaking, he searched the room. Nothing. Yet a cold presence lingered, pressing against him like a heavy, invisible hand. Images flashed unbidden in his mind. Elena's eyes, the promise he had broken, the guilt he had buried beneath years of rationalization. Amina's soft voice called from the bedroom, breaking his reverie. Samuel, are you all right? He turned toward her, forcing a smile that felt brittle. I'm fine, just tired. As he lay beside her that night, sleep eluded him. Shadows flickered across the room, and every creak of the house seemed to whisper warnings he could not ignore. He clutched the sheet and closed his eyes, but Elena's voice echoed in the silence. Remember, every choice has a consequence. Every betrayal ripples beyond you. Samuel did not know whether to feel fear, guilt, or disbelief. What he did know was that he could not ignore it, and deep down, beneath the safety of vows and devotion, a flicker of temptation and dread stirred in his chest. The night was long, and the whisper lingered, promising that his journey was only beginning. The days after the wedding were supposed to be perfect. Samuel expected mornings filled with laughter, evenings of quiet contentment, and the simple comfort of Amina's presence. Instead, he found himself walking a tightrope between bliss and unease, haunted by a shadow that no one else could see. It began subtly. A book he had left on the coffee table one morning would be opened to a page he didn't remember touching. The faint scent of Elena's perfume lingered in corners of the house, though he hadn't seen or smelled it for years. Sometimes, late at night, he thought he heard soft footsteps in the hallway, or a whisper brushing against his ear. Do not forget me. Samuel tried to rationalize it. Stress of the wedding, fatigue, memories that resurfaced unbidden. But logic faltered when he saw her, Elena, standing across the garden in the moonlight. Her eyes glimmered with the same sharp, familiar intensity. When he blinked, she was gone, leaving only the scent of jasmine and a chill crawling up his spine. And yet, it wasn't only fear that she stared. Desire flickered too, unexpected and unwelcome. He remembered the thrill of their stolen afternoons, the way she had made him feel alive in ways no one else had. Amina's love was steady, warm, grounding, but Elena had been fire, unpredictable, intoxicating, dangerous. The more Samuel tried to push the memories away, the stronger they grew. At work, his thoughts wandered to things he would rather forget. At home, he found himself staring at Amina's gentle smile with a pang of guilt. The ghost was not just appearing, it was infiltrating his mind, a mirror reflecting both longing and warning. One night, as he wandered the house unable to sleep, the whisper came again. Samuel. This time, it was accompanied by a shadow at the corner of the hallway. Her form was clearer, almost solid, yet impossibly ethereal. She stepped closer, and he could feel the chill of her presence seep into his skin. You cannot cheat, she said, voice low, hypnotic. Not without ruin, not just for you, for them. Who are you? Samuel whispered, his voice trembling. Someone you wronged, she said, her gaze piercing through him. Someone whose absence you thought you could bury. You must choose wisely. Desire is a poison, Samuel, and poison spreads. He wanted to argue, to deny it, to convince himself it was just a nightmare. But the truth echoed in his chest. He knew she was right. Every temptation, every wandering thought could ripple outward in ways he could not control. As days passed, Samuel's inner conflict deepened. He loved Amina, yet he could not silence the pull of the past. The ghost became more than a warning. She became a test, a haunting presence that forced him to confront the darker corners of his own heart. By the time he stood in the quiet kitchen one rainy evening, staring out at the silvered city streets, Samuel realized the truth. The life he had built was fragile. Desire, guilt, and temptation swirled together, forming a storm that threatened to consume him. And somewhere in the distance, the whisper lingered, a promise that the shadows of desire were only the beginning. The path ahead would demand more than loyalty. It would demand courage, honesty, and a confrontation with parts of himself he had long avoided. And deep down, Samuel knew that soon he would have no choice but to face it. Samuel woke to the sound of rain tapping against the window, but it wasn't the weather that made his heart race. It was the unmistakable presence beside him, a chill that seeped through the sheets and pressed against his chest. He sat up, sweat prickling his forehead, and found the room empty. Yet the whisper came again, soft but insistent. Samuel. He shivered, feeling the weight of her gaze even though he could not see her. Elena. She was no longer just a memory. She had become a shadow that followed him, a force that demanded acknowledgement. Days blurred into restless nights. The ghost appeared in reflections, in fleeting glimpses at the corner of his vision, even in dreams that felt more like warnings than sleep. Each encounter carried a message, not just a threat, but a revelation. She began speaking of consequences he had never imagined. You think your actions end with you, she said one evening, her form hovering in the dim glow of the hallway. But every choice ripples outward. Betrayal infects more than love. It spreads through family, through children yet unborn, through the very life you think is yours to command. Samuel's knees buckled beneath him. He had loved Amina with all the sincerity he could muster. Yet, the lure of memory, the ache of loss, the thrill of the past had become a silent torment. Guilt gnawed at him as he realized that Elena's warnings were not mere specters of superstition. They were truths about the fragile fabric of life, about the invisible threads that tied choices to consequences. That night, sleep was impossible. He sat on the edge of the bed, replaying the past in painful detail. The moments with Elena he had tried to forget, the promises broken, the opportunities for honesty he had squandered. Each memory was a dagger, each regret a chain tightening around him. Then came a vision more vivid than any before. He saw Elena as she had truly been, vulnerable, alive, trusting him with her heart. And then he saw the alternative, a life of selfishness,
where he betrayed Amina and the world around him unraveled. Faces he loved, Amina, their future children, even distant family, twisted in pain. It was not just fear anymore. It was understanding. The realization struck him with the force of a storm. This haunting was not merely supernatural. It was moral, spiritual, an unrelenting mirror to his soul. The ghost was guiding him, forcing him to confront the choices he had long avoided, to see the stakes of desire, betrayal, and regret. Samuel knew then that he could no longer ignore her. He had to face Elena, not just as a phantom, but as a manifestation of the truths he had buried, the guilt, the longing, the responsibility. If he failed, it would not only destroy him, it would ripple through the lives of those he loved. He rose from the bed, trembling but resolute. The storm outside mirrored the storm within him, but for the first time, he felt a strange clarity. The path ahead was perilous, filled with temptation and fear, yet it was also a path toward understanding himself, toward confronting his own darkness. Elena's whisper followed him to the door, fading into the night like smoke. "Face yourself, Samuel, or all you hold dear will crumble." And with that, Samuel stepped into the rainy night, knowing that revelation was only the beginning, and that the true test of loyalty, courage, and desire was yet to come.
The days that followed felt like walking through a storm. Samuel could not escape. Every corner of his life seemed shadowed, every decision weighed with consequences he could not ignore. And then, as if fate itself had chosen the moment, temptation arrived. It came in the form of Mara, a new colleague at work, charming, playful, and dangerously familiar in a way that reminded him of Elena. She laughed at his jokes, lingered a moment too long by his desk, and complimented him with an ease that made his pulse quicken. Samuel knew he should pull away, should keep the distance that loyalty demanded. Yet, part of him, the part that had always thirsted for the thrill of desire, leaned closer. That evening, as Samuel stayed late to finish a report, Mara appeared in the empty office corridor. "You work too hard," she said, her voice soft, almost coaxing. "Come, take a break. You deserve it." A shiver ran down his spine, but it wasn't entirely from the chill of the air conditioning. The ghost present surged behind his mind's eye, Elena, glimmering, stern, warning. "Do not betray her," she whispered. He tried to speak, to tell Mara he couldn't, but his throat tightened. The world seemed to slow, every movement loaded with potential consequences. He imagined Amina waiting at home, unaware of the danger brushing so close to him. He imagined the ripple of hurt, the chain reaction that Elena had promised. And yet, desire, like a cunning tide, pushed him forward. His fingers brushed hers as she handed him a file, and for a moment, the room filled with electricity, charged and dangerous. He closed his eyes, feeling the weight of choice pressing against him like a physical force. "Samuel," the voice hissed in the quiet of his mind, "every step you take toward betrayal brings ruin." He pulled back, heart racing, and finally said firmly, I can't." Mara's eyes widened in surprise, and she hesitated. "You are serious?" "Yes," he said, voice stronger than he expected. "I'm married. I won't, I can't." The tension in the room lifted, but the relief was brief. The ghost hovered, a cold presence at the edge of his consciousness, reminding him that this was only the first test. Desire had not vanished, guilt had not vanished, and temptation would come again. That night, Samuel lay awake beside Amina, listening to her even breathing, feeling both gratitude and terror. He knew he had passed the trial, yet the struggle had left him raw, vulnerable, and painfully aware of his own weaknesses. The ghost appeared once more, not to threaten this time, but to teach. "You resisted," Elena said, her voice a mixture of approval and warning. "But the path ahead is longer, and shadows will not rest.
Remember what is at stake, not just your heart, but theirs. Every choice matters. Samuel clenched the sheets, feeling the enormity of what he had promised himself. The turmoil inside him had not ended, it had only intensified. Desire, guilt, loyalty, and fear collided within his chest, a storm that he could not escape. He realized that he was no longer simply living his life. He was navigating a battlefield of the heart and soul, with stakes higher than he had ever imagined. Every moment forward would demand vigilance, courage, and honesty. And deep in the night, as rain tapped against the windows, he understood the truth Elena had been trying to teach him all along. The greatest danger was not the temptation itself, but what he allowed it to reveal about himself. And somewhere in the darkness, the whisper lingered, "Beware, Samuel, the final reckoning approaches."
The storm outside mirrored the storm within Samuel. Rain lashed against the windows, thunder shaking the walls, but it was nothing compared to the tumult in his chest. He knew that tonight he could no longer run from the truth, from the ghosts, or from himself. Elena appeared at the edge of the room, clearer than ever. Her eyes were no longer accusatory, but searching, challenging, as if daring him to face the choices he had avoided for so long. "Samuel," she said, voice calm but powerful, "you have resisted the temptations of the world, but can you face the temptations within? Can you face yourself?" Samuel's knees went weak. For years, he had buried his guilt, compartmentalized his desires, and rationalized his mistakes. Now, every hidden thought, every suppressed regret surged forward, demanding confrontation. He could no longer hide behind excuses. I don't want to hurt anyone," he said, voice trembling. "I've tried to forget you, to forget the past, but I know I cannot. I know I must change." Elena nodded, her form flickering like a candle in the wind. "Change is not denial, Samuel. It is acceptance. Accept your fears, your desires, your failures, and choose the path that honors love, not lust, loyalty, not selfishness. Only then can the curse lift." Memories flooded him. The laughter with Elena, the warmth of Amina's trust, the visions of the potential heartbreak he could bring upon his family. For a moment, despair threatened to overwhelm him, but then he felt the steady, unwavering presence of Amina in his heart, the quiet strength, the love that had endured his doubts and fears. "I choose her," he whispered. "I choose our life. I choose responsibility, not temptation. I will not betray her, not in thought, not in deed. I will be the man she believes I am." Elena's face softened. "Then you are free," she said. Her form shimmered, dissolving into the night air like mist. "But remember this, freedom is not the absence of temptation. It is the mastery of it. Live with honesty, and you will honor all you love." The house was silent now, except for the patter of rain. Samuel sank to the floor, exhausted, but a deep calm filled him. The fear, the longing, the guilt, they were still there, but tempered, acknowledged, and transformed into resolution. He knew the path ahead would require vigilance, but he was no longer paralyzed by it. Amina stirred from the bedroom, her eyes soft with sleep and concern. "Samuel?" she asked. He took her hand, gripping it gently but firmly. "I am here," he said, "and I am staying, I promise." She smiled, a slow, trusting smile that lit the room like dawn. In that moment, Samuel understood something he had never realized before. True love was not just about passion or desire. It was about choice, sacrifice, and the courage to confront the darkest parts of oneself. The storm outside began to ease, rain turning to a gentle drizzle. Samuel looked out the window, feeling the weight of the past lift from his shoulders.
He had faced the ghost, faced himself, and emerged with a clarity he had never known. And with Amina by his side, he finally felt the possibility of peace.